Thank you, Council President, members of council, guests, residents of East Brunswick. It's a great honor to represent the township and be able to directly talk to each of you this evening in my first State of the Township address. The last time I spoke to the residents was at my inauguration, and I talked about our rich heritage and the fascinating history of East Brunswick. I tried to make the point that the success of a community is often best measured not only by how they survive during times of adversity, but the vision they have in the new world that they create from the ashes of economic downturns. We have slowly emerged from the Great Recession, and it is another one of those times when leaders are called upon to remodel and recreate the best aspects of our township and give birth to a new East Brunswick. One that keeps all the things that were great, repackages those aspects that need to be worked, and retires those that don't work any longer. It is my vision of this East Brunswick that I'd like to speak to you about tonight. But before I speak about that vision, I'd like to address the financial health of the township and review some of the highlights of a few of our municipal departments over the past year. During my transition to the mayor's office, I set up teams that reviewed all aspects of the municipal departments. Without taking away from the upcoming budget presentations, there were several overlapping themes. The first is that we're not very good at public relations, and there are many services that are provided by the township that most residents are completely unaware of. And I intend to cast a light on some of those services tonight. On the topic of economics, East Brunswick is primarily a residential community. Approximately 80% of our tax base comes from residential property taxes. There's a small commercial component and an even smaller industrial tax base. Our tax rate is 10.431, with each penny equal to approximately $190,000. It is the fourth year in a row that property values have risen, slowly approaching the pre-recession values we enjoyed several years ago. This is good news for homeowners. The assessment is based on 26.49% of value, and our collection rate is 99%. Our utilities are self-liquidating, allowing residents to enjoy some of the lowest water and sewer rates in the state. Our bond rating is by Moody's is AA+, the second best rating, making our cost of debt less than 1%. Part of our bond rating is based on our payment to pensions, which, as opposed to the state, we have done at 100%. Despite the fact that East Brunswick is a large town, there is limited open space for new development, and the economic health of our community will rest on how we redevelop, rezone, reuse, repurpose, or regreen existing properties that are not performing. This will be discussed a little bit later. Let me take a look at some of our municipal departments and speak to their accomplishments over the past year. The Department of Planning and Engineering continued its pavement management program and repaved 3.3 miles of township roads. When possible, we try to capture money from other sources, an example being the improvements on Church Lane, which cost about $500,000, $300,000 of which came from Transportation Trust Fund. We've applied for $1.2 million in road grants from the New Jersey Department of Transportation this year and hope to repair even larger amounts of roads this year. The department began an aggressive campaign to retrofit stormwater inlets in order to meet DEP stormwater standards. The tennis courts at Bicentennial Park in Lenape were repaired, and only the painting needs to be done for completion, which is anticipated when the winter weather breaks. The Department of Planning processed 44 applications this year, the most significant being the Park Chateau in the site of the former East Brunswick Chateau. This project is expected to be completed on time and will be open for business next month. We are very excited to welcome the Park Chateau to our community, and I'm pleased to announce that they have already booked over 300 events through 2018. We wish them and all of our merchants success as they prove that East Brunswick is once again open for business. Proving that our businesses are finding a great home in East Brunswick, I'm happy to say that 2016 saw a $10 million increase in the value of construction, due primarily to commercial construction and commercial alterations, additions, or renovations. You can see this up and down Route 18 as there are new businesses that began to emerge. Examples are DSW, Bar Louie, Ibby's, Raymore and Flanagan, Halal Guys, the M&N Bakery, and many others. This is a trend that's continuing as there are several projects in progress and are scheduled to open in the first half of 2017. Our library is a well-known gem, as we just heard, both inside and outside East Brunswick. In 2016, they were open 3,300 hours and serviced over 386,000 patrons. There were 900 programs in the meeting rooms and almost 1,200 programs in the library enjoyed by 35,000 adults, teens, and children. Examples include Makerfest, East Brunswick Con, which is our version of Comic-Con, Hour of Code for coding stills. There was a business resource center and a summer reading program that was in conjunction with the public schools. East Brunswick TV produced 213 original programs and 233 segments of This Week in East Brunswick. 3 of EBTV's programs grabbed top trophies at the 2016 Jam Video Awards. In addition to building, vehicle, road, recycling, and snow management, the Public Works Department held a shredding service in May of 2016 after tax season. Leaf collection is used to produce free compost for residents in the spring. The department produces its own brine for anti-icing and actually produces enough that it sells it to other townships. And we recycle asphalt and use it for pothole repair in the winter months. As for our police and public safety department, the EBPD was recognized in 2016 as the best police department in Middlesex County. Safety is always the emphasis, as summons and arrests were up for the year. This was done through attention to detail, prevention, technology, and community policing. The police department continues to enjoy a close relationship with our Board of Education, and they work proactively to make sure that our greatest assets are able to learn in the safest environment possible. The police have also worked closely with all houses of worship by increasing security through directed police, patrol officers on foot walking inside and outside the buildings. We have been able to obtain cars, furniture, fencing, equipment through forfeiture funds and LISO, which is the Law Enforcement Support Office, allowing us to pick up items that the federal government is giving away for free. In 2016, we launched the Opi Outreach Program to assist individuals and families with addiction and dependency-related matters. This is a national epidemic, and our force has continued to be proactive in this matter, as they were one of the first forces to equip vehicles and train our officers in the use of Narcan. The Parks and Recreation Department had a record-breaking year this year with $2.8 million in revenues. Crystal Springs had its highest attendance on record with 82,000 patrons. There were 400 programs and 20 special events during the year. Our day camps continue to see increases in enrollment and revenue, and there are several construction projects already in the works, including the new Welcome Concession Building at Crystal Springs. Online registration and credit card payment should be available in 2017, and our Youth Council continues to draw praise as they provided over 10,000 hours in community service in 2016. Our senior center had a new baby. They took delivery of a handicapped accessible bus to help make the center available to seniors who had not been able to travel to the center before. The center enjoys a great relationship with our schools and have several programs with the kids. These include the Intergenerational Sociology Program, now in its 20th year. There is a Pen Pal, Reading Buddy, and preschool reading program for the younger kids. AARP volunteers provided 314 tax-free returns, and there were over 200 state health insurance assistant program counseling sessions for seniors. In addition to a wide range of classes, the Senior Center added meditation and karaoke, aided by its 55-inch smart TV donated by the Friends of the Senior Center. I could go on and on talking about the great programs and performances at the Community Arts Center, EB Day, which continues to grow every year, the 4th of July fireworks programs, the Environmental Commission and Friends of the Environmental Commission programs, the organic farms right behind the municipal complex, Meals on Wheels, EB Museum, and the rich history living in the historical section of town. But it is time to look forward and get back to that vision thing. Throughout our recent campaign, we spoke to thousands of residents. Most residents are proud to live in East Brunswick and point to our public schools as the single most important reason that they choose to live here in East Brunswick. They have every reason to be proud of our public schools, as recent polls by niche.com place them as the 7th best public schools in New Jersey and the 67th best in the nation. Residents also point to our library as one of the best in New Jersey. They also love the quiet, tree-lined, diverse community that would promote enjoying the proximity to major cities and ease of commuting. But we have areas in drastic need of improvement. At almost 80%, residents in East Brunswick are contributing to almost all of the tax base through residential property taxes. Such increases seem to never end, as we have seen a concurrent 6 to 10 year decline in commercial and industrial ratables. This trend has only recently been addressed, far too late to have prevented the need to declare large parts of Route 18 in need of redevelopment. If we are to see ourselves out of this death spiral, we must act now and make some very important decisions. The decisions we make today must conform to the new reality we faced in a post-recession economy. The decisions we make today must also conform to the new reality that is right before us and is drastically different than the suburban sprawl that defined the generation before us. All of the changes we must make revolve around the new economy that is defined in large part by the need of millennials. So in short, we need to, 1, we must stop the continued dependence on residential property taxes and try to give residents some relief. 2, we need to redevelop large parts of the commercial corridors to attract millennials. This means experience-based shopping where there are walkable mixed residential communities with outdoor, non-chain restaurants, music, art, and culture. These communities must be close to the transit center and must feature easy access to the roadways. 3, we need to re-engage our small businesses that we still have so that they can be active participants helping to drive and support the redevelopment changes that we propose. And 4, we need to continue to support our schools as they still remain the key attraction and will become even more important as millennials have children and look to home buying. The needs of millennials will remain the same as those before them. The need for good schools, a safe community, and good geography will not likely change. So with this in mind, we have already begun to initiate the following changes, programs, and initiatives. 1, tonight we're about to begin the process needed to pass the Shop East Brunswick Ordinance. This reward program provides residents with a swipe card used at local merchants, vendors, and contractors. The discount that's provided is kept in an account, and once a year, the account total is transferred to the tax department to be used as a tax credit on your new property tax bill. The more you shop in town and frequent our stores, merchants, and vendors, the more of a tax reduction you will receive. Renters and those who choose to live or who live outside of East Brunswick can receive a rebate check for their loyalty. 2, we have already seen some new businesses return to East Brunswick. However, I believe that we can still do better. I'm going to be hiring an economic development officer. This person will be responsible for rebranding East Brunswick and seeking out high-end merchants to consider East Brunswick again. The EDO will act as an account manager, walking each new merchant or business through the planning, engineering, and construction process. He or she will also administer the Shop East Brunswick program, help reignite the East Brunswick Business Alliance or Chamber of Commerce, and serve as a liaison between the business community and the township, validating that East Brunswick is again open for business. 3, we need to fast-track the redevelopment program. This will involve the areas designated in need of redevelopment with emphasis on the northern sections. The redevelopment committee will be looking to have plans ready for review by this summer. The plan will show our vision for the zones that include the Lomans Plaza, the plaza that used to have the Gap and Wiz and Carl's, and 110 Tice's, the area of the old Wonder Bread factory. We must also look at different areas along the Route 18 corridor. And finally, we must also be looking to reinvigorate the industrial sections of town that can support new industrial uses: IT, biotech, logistics, data storage, pharmaceuticals. There can be no significant reduction in our taxes unless we make the pie bigger. We must begin to see the commercial and industrial ratables increase, as that is the only way to sustain a reasonable resident property tax structure. Residential property taxes must be controlled so that we can continue to attract the same type of residents that were drawn to our township for decades. 4, we will be refocusing on the planning and construction process here in the township to a customer service orientation. We cannot attract new businesses or merchants without making the process simpler, faster, and user-friendly. Much of this will involve upgrading or moving to readily available technology, and some will involve staff training or reorganization. Clearly, the owners of the East Brunswick Chateau have been thrilled at how efficient and attentive our construction and building professionals and staff have been. They will open on time, and that is a testament to our commitment to this project. This is a level of service that every resident and business should expect. We can do this, we must do this, and everything that we envision in East Brunswick depends on us doing this. And finally, 5, we must continue to provide the services that our residents continue to enjoy. We will be committing to the road improvements that are in desperate need of repair. We will be continuing to support the many programs at the library, Parks and Recreation, and the Senior Center, and look for new ones that appeal to the diverse population in our township. We may have come a long way from the Norman Rockwell small town that defined an age long gone, but we must continue to be the close-knit community we've always been. While we may be more diverse, while we may have different needs, while we're still trying to decide what we're going to look like when we grow up, we are charged with one goal, and that goal is to provide for the next generation a legacy and a story. And that story will be the story about how a community came together to reinvent itself and prove that together we were able to hand our children an East Brunswick that was distinctly better than the way we found it. God bless you, this township, and the United States.